This game started off nightmare scenario for Penn State. Then on top of that, they stayed on the 15th floor at this hotel. So the players during game day had to walk up and down these 15 flights of stairs in order to get back to their room. They end up scoring on all three possessions. So right out of the gates, basically Penn State's losing 21-0 in this first quarter. It started out basically as bad as it could have. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Road to Happy Valley. I'm your host, Noah Malone. So on today's episode, I wanted to try something new with the beginning of this. I know that there's been a lot going on as far as spring ball and things along those lines. We had a lot of good things that happened at the Pro Day for Penn State, all great stuff. But I wanted to give everybody a little bit of a break from that and start this new segment that I want to call Along the Way. And basically what this is going to be about is I'll pick a random game throughout Penn State football history and basically just go over it, talk about the game itself, what kind of happened that year, just to provide some insight as far as how Penn State football has been. I think it'll bring a good feeling of nostalgia to the people that were there and were at that game, and it will bring information and a perspective to the new Penn State football fans, which I feel like might not have had the opportunity to learn about that game, be at that game, etc. So to get that started, the first game is going to come from 1994, where number 2 Penn State played number 25 Illinois. So Penn State did end up winning this game 35-31, but how did we get to that point? So before the game started, Penn State was staying at a hotel in Illinois that ended up losing power. So the night before, into the morning, lost power, and it just so happened that this hotel was located at the Illinois campus where all of the other frat houses were at. So they were blasting music all throughout the night. And then the next morning, in anticipation, like getting ready for the game, the staff at the hotel was unable to make breakfast for the team prior to the game. So they had to order pizza subs from like a local pizza place, and that was their pregame meal. So pretty crazy start to the day. And then on top of that, they stayed on the 15th floor at this hotel. So the players during game day had to walk up and down these 15 flights of stairs in order to get back to their room, or down to the lobby or wherever they were going to be eating before. So pretty inconvenient, but a little backstory before going into this game, but a pretty wild scenario that I personally didn't even know about until starting this new segment and reading into it. So a little backstory about Illinois. Like I said, they were 25th in the country. They had a very good defense at the time, one of the best in the country. They had 3 All-American linebackers, Dana Howard, Simeon Rice, and Kevin Hardy. And then Penn State, like I said, number 2 in the country, obviously one of the best. So this game started off nightmare scenario for Penn State on the road. Number 2 team in the country, hungry Illini team. First quarter, Ki-Jana Carter fumbles, Kerry Collins throws an interception, and the third possession, Illinois ends up having a short field, and they end up scoring on all 3 possessions. So right out of the gates, basically Penn State's losing 21-0 in this first quarter. Like I said, nightmare start for the Nittany Lions on the road. So moving into the second quarter, not a great start for the Nittany Lions in the second quarter either. They started at the 1-yard line, but Kerry Collins basically had a flawless drive. No incompletions, took them 99 yards. Brian Milne scored on a 1-yard touchdown run. Illinois gets the ball back, and Penn State ends up forcing a punt and getting the ball on the Illinois 38-yard line. The first play, they blocked that punt, excuse me. First play from the Illinois 38-yard line was a 38-yard touchdown pass to Freddie Scott, and just like that, it's 21-14. Penn State's right back in it. They've got the momentum. End of the quarter, Illinois does go down and score right before halftime, kind of takes some of the momentum away from Penn State in this scenario, but 28-14 going into the half. Third quarter, Penn State forces a punt on the Illinois opening drive in the second half. Kerry Collins leads the offense down the field where Ki-Jana Carter scores on a 4-yard touchdown run. Next possession, Illinois gets the ball, 71-yard drive, but it ends up with a made field goal, to make it 31-28 Illinois. Penn State gets the ball back, goes down the field, ends up missing a field goal wide right to end the third quarter. So heading into the fourth quarter right now, 31-21 Illinois. Back against the wall for Penn State. Going to need a big quarter, but stick with me. The next drive, Penn State converts a crucial fourth down and ends up scoring on a 5-yard rush by Brian Milne. That turns it to a 31-28 game. Penn State did go on to force a punt, and the unfortunate thing is that Illinois ended up pinning Penn State on their own 4-yard line. So basically another flawless drive here from Kerry Collins to lead the offense 96 yards resulted in Brian Milne scoring again. And then Penn State ended up taking a 35-31 lead at this point. Illinois gets the ball back with 37 seconds left, drove down the field to the Penn State 31-yard line, ends up throwing an interception to Kim Herring, and that seals the deal for the Nittany Lions. They take the win 35-31. 1994 was a significant year for Penn State. They did go undefeated that year, but were not national championship. Were not in the national championship, and were not considered national champions. Nebraska was the winner that year because of the coalition and the way that college football was ran that year. So Penn State played in the Rose Bowl, and that ended up happening the day after Nebraska already won the national championship, which is crazy to think about because that's not how it goes now. I mean, obviously we have the national championship game, we have all these different bowl games, but that's not always how it was throughout college football. So a historic year for Penn State, but all in all didn't end in a national championship, which is kind of frustrating. But this was a great game along the way. Always tough going on the road as a highly ranked team. And as you guys heard, it started out basically as bad as it could have, but they turned it around. Obviously, having guys like Kerry Collins and Ki-Jana Carter on your team make things a little bit easier. But yeah, that wraps up the 1994 game against Illinois. So next week I'll have a different one, but I feel like that's a pretty cool story to hear throughout the Penn State history of their football team. So on to the next thing that I wanted to talk about was spring ball. I know a lot of people have been talking about that, and rightfully so. So I don't really have too much to go on and too much to talk about with that. Kind of wanted to break it up and give you guys a little bit of a break from all the spring ball talk. But there was a couple things that I was reading that I feel like were worth mentioning. Elliot Washington II has looked very, very good from what I've been reading and from what all the coaches and everybody's been saying. Elliot Washington was a guy that I said to keep an eye on heading into spring ball. He was the competitor of the day for all of the practices during the winter workouts, and it really looks like that momentum is carried into spring football for him. And it really looks like, from what I've seen, he's been winning a lot of the one-on-one battles versus the wide receivers. In those reps, there's been videos here and there that have surfaced of him just basically dominating on some of these reps. And I think that's pretty refreshing to see. It looks like he's been playing with a chip on his shoulder, and he's really carried that success that he's had in winter practice into spring. So that's great. Next, I wanted to talk about redshirt sophomore Javon Williams. Apparently, he's been doing great as well. He's been filling in along the offensive line for what seems to, from what I have seen, that there's been some injuries. I want to say it was Nolan Rucci who has not been practicing, and so Javon's been filling in for him, and apparently he's been doing a great job. Not only Nolan, there was another guy I believe that's been hurt too, but it opened the door for Javon, and he's been taking advantage of it. He was a former 5-star coming out of high school and has been taking significant reps with the offense first team and has been looking really, really strong. He did play last year, but from what it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this Penn State offensive line has a chance to be one of the best that we've seen ever, potentially, for them. So they have a lot of depth. They have a lot of talent. I mean, anytime you're bringing a former 5-star to fill in is going to be a good scenario. And he's been really taking advantage of it. So my question for you is, off the top of your head, how many other teams in the country can bring in a 5-star backup, basically? Not too many, right? And I think that that's a great sign for where the offensive line and Penn State has gotten over these past few years as far as that upper echelon of college football. And hopefully everybody ends up being healthy, but if not, Javon has looked like he's been doing a great job. Another guy that I had to keep an eye on was redshirt sophomore Kerry Collins. He plays corner, and he was one of the few returning guys from this secondary unit that lost a lot. In 2024, he had 26 tackles, 19 solo, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 pass breakup, and 1 interception. I've been seeing that Franklin said a bunch of good stuff about him so far, that he's looked like he's really taken that next step and has gotten better each and every day. So it looks like we have a little bit of a battle here for the other cornerback position between Elliott Washington and Kerry Collins, but I'm here for it, right? Anytime you have 2 guys just competing at a high level, it might make it difficult to figure out which one gets the starting job, but there's no drop off at that point. And whoever wins, I still do think that the other one is going to see time on the field. I'm still trying to figure out what this defense is going to look like. I think rumors have been going around about, and I think from what Franklin has said, potentially somewhere along the lines of having more corners out there. Going to have to see how Jim Knowles feels about that and what he thinks he can work with on the defensive side of the ball from a talent perspective. But yeah, anytime you have 2 guys competing like that at a really high level, it's a good problem to have, right? So next I want to go into this 2026 recruiting class. Right now it's currently 8th in the country and 4th in the Big Ten. So far we've got 1, 2, 3, I think it's 8 guys. So I'll run through that. Pretty much just talk about where they're ranked, where they're from. Obviously, with the way that recruiting goes in this day and age, things can change at the drop of a hat. So this is subject to change potentially, but I feel really good about where this recruiting class is. And it really seemed like they've ramped up the efforts as far as trying to bring some more guys in. So to start off, Messiah Mickens, 4-star running back out of Harrisburg, PA. He's the 14th running back in his class. So he was at spring practice on March 29th and immediately shut down his recruitment the same day, which good for him. He found his place. Good for us. We locked in our running back. Basically shutting down his recruitment means he just canceled all of his other official visits that he had lined up, which this was a guy that there was some questions surrounding once Sider left and went to Notre Dame. He did have a Notre Dame official visit on there, but him shutting that down and ultimately sticking with the Nittany Lions is a great sign. So happy for him. Glad that he found his place here at Penn State. Next is Kevin Brown, 4-star offensive tackle from Harrisburg, PA as well. Him and Messiah actually play on the same team. He is the 5th offensive tackle in his position for the class. I have seen highlights and videos of him at camps and things. I think he's going to be a beast. Next is Matt Sieg. Excuse me, Matt, if I said your name wrong, but 4-star safety, 17th safety in his position in his class from McDonald, PA. Troy Hoon, 4-star quarterback, 16th ranked quarterback in his class from San Marcos, California. Daniel Jennings, 4-star edge, 33rd in his class from Princeton, West Virginia. Recently committed David Davis. He's listed as a 4-star athlete out of Pittsburgh, PA. 19th athlete at his position. I think he'll end up playing corner, but obviously that's subject to change as well. Jasir Rogers, 3-star wide receiver, 68th in his position in his class from Bear, Delaware. Now, I saw a video of him a few weeks ago from a 7-on-7, unknowingly that Penn State was interested in him, that he was going to commit there. Watch some of these clips, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, oh, I wonder where this guy's already going. Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, somewhere, right? Click on his profile, see that he has visit to Penn State, ends up committing to Penn State, and he just has that movement, that skill from what it seems that is at a much higher level than where he's currently ranked in his class at the wide receiver position. Like I said, he's 68th, 3-star. I think that's going to change. I think he'll end up finishing higher than that in his class as he continues. But yeah, I was very shocked when I saw that he was not already committed to another high level program. So somebody that I feel really good about. We'll see how that pans out. Next, Julian Peterson, 3-star corner, 42nd in his position in his class from Atco, New Jersey. And then 3-star wide receiver LeVar Keys out of Hyattsville, Maryland, 121st wide receiver in his class. That wraps it up for the 2026 recruiting class. Still work to be done there. There's guys that are still going to be lined up for official visits, guys that are that Penn State still has their eye on, but that's currently where the class sits for now. And then I do have one other thing that I wanted to mention, and that was a 2027 commit, which just happened the other week. 4-star wide receiver out of Pittsburgh, Khalil Taylor. This was a big one. He's the 4th wide receiver in his class. So already an early start on this 2027 class, but starting off strong. So that does it for today's episode. Let me know if there's any other games that you guys would want me to talk about, but from any part of Penn State history. But I'm going to try and keep it to games that we won. I think that games that we lost are important too, because there are exciting games, but want to try and keep it positive, stick to some wins, and keep it pushing from there. But thanks for watching. We are.